Just try to explain in Buddhist meditation. So what are they? And or maybe have a kind of like a general. I would say the very fundamental understanding about the meditation, and then what we are practicing here, what kind of meditation we are doing. Okay, I think maybe that's just help people have a big pictures of whole thing. I don't know whether that helps. Let me see how we begin with. Well, you know, we know that when we come to a Buddhist circle, when you start to learn Buddhism, it's a little different from other religions. That's one of the reasons why people are arguing whether Buddhism is a philosophy or religion. So, but here I'm not going to discuss about that, you know, because then you have to define what religion is and so forth. But what I want to say is that certainly in Buddhism, when you go to Asia, especially because I was born there and I was brought up there also. So and I even met people like when I was in England, for example, and studied that time, and then some of my people I know at least, and they went to Asia, and then when they came back, like in Vietnam or they go other places. Looked like they were a little disappointed because according to at least the people I met, they told me that they thought, okay, when you study Buddhism, so it means that you always are very peaceful, and then you're always going to do the meditation. This is what as an Asian people say the Western concept of Buddhist. Okay. But when you go to the Asia and you find lots of temples are quite different, but they have a lot of chanting going on. Very busy, and then a lot of incense sometimes, especially in Vietnam, at least still Vietnam is like that, but in Taiwan changed a little bit. China still like that also. So they found, wow, this is suddenly, because their image of Buddhism means they saw the monks sitting and meditate, and then people come to the temple and just doing a sitting meditation. But when you go to Asia, it's complete pictures different. You saw lots of people were just worship and put incense and chanting and put some different kind of color of clothes and just like anyway, complete out of their image of complete out of their imagination what the Buddhist is. And of course, there are some other good things there also, and some other things which they disagree. Anyway, I'm not here to address that issue. And then this kind of pictures is not only happen even in not only just this is how we grew up. Actually, this I would say this is how I'm talking about how I when I was a kid, I wasn't really brought up from a Buddhist family. So this is even how I perceive the Buddhist is about. You know, when you go to Buddhist, meaning you saw. You will see the people are doing chanting there, and then very serious like that. This is my image of that. And I ask a lot of young people also. That's how their image as well. I mean, some people love it, of course. I mean, but then in general, so because I actually was brought up in Malaysia, even though I was born in Taiwan, and then especially because I live in actually East Malaysia, and then you have a lot of these. Actually, we have a lot of Christianity there, and it's also a fashion for us. When you are not, if you really want to study English, and we have kind of image thinking that if you're Christian, your English must be very good. And it's as I say, that's why this has become a fashion that you definitely have to go to church because we need to study, we need to have a good English in order to find a job, or even it's a kind of status showing too. And then also, of course, then you sing, you have lots of friends, you can go to picnic, you can eat anything you like, But our image of when you go to a Buddhist temple, you have to be a vegetarian, and you have to be very restricted to many kind of life and so forth. This is how general idea. I'm talking this, I'm sure some agree with me as people who are from Asia, maybe people who are not from Asia, from Europe or in America, maybe what I'm talking about anyway. But anyway, so let me just back to what the Buddhist idea actually, when a person comes to the Buddhist study Buddhism, what maybe my understanding how the Buddha actually expect a person is so-called be a Buddhist or so-called be a good person who are devote themselves into learning Buddhism. So of course that's firstly the Buddha's always encourage you. You have to listen again and again and again from the Buddha's teachings. This is what we say. You have to always learn. But in old day, of course, learning is always by listening. So that's the reason why we have a word call. You have to gain the wisdom, to get the understanding by hearing. But now you can interpret it as mean learning. You have to learn. You need to listen some other people's voices. Generally, as a layperson, even as a monk, we were brought up in a kind of family. We have a different value. But when you start to go to a practice, then you need to look at the thing in a different way sometimes. Not necessarily you agree now, but at least we must listen to some other different way. I guess that's one thing. That's why we have a word always say that if you have time, constantly listen, to people who are into spirituality, how they really look at a life is about. That's what we call, you gain the understanding by listening. That's the first thing. And the second, that is actually is not sufficient for a person or to help a person, because just by listening it doesn't necessarily mean you really take it seriously. But when the thing that can be, when any knowledge you learn that can be regarded so serious for you is only when you have independent thinking of what you learn, right? So, and then that's what we call by the reflection. So you need to get the understanding by reflection. Now, I guess wherever you go, these two things, whatever religion you follow, or wherever you go, or whatever subject you study, maybe these two things are really important. I guess. But now, one other thing which I'm going to talk, this is what I'm going to say as a main topic today, is the third one. That, of course, in Buddhism we have one unique thing that might be even apply to religion in India, like in Hinduism or certain religion in India. Even though we have different opinions of that, but maybe a little bit you can apply to a little bit to them too. That is that you must get the understanding by practice. Okay. Like yesterday I was explaining, when we say the word practice, just let me put the word first. Yes. It's good that we have a looks like we are in the school time now. So, bhavana, right, is the word. Sometimes usually we translate bhavana as practice. Okay. But actually the word, because in Sanskrit it's from the root hu, it means become. Okay. And this is, of course, is a past participle of the word. So usually you can translate this mean bring into existence. So now, of course, this is what bring into existence in Chinese always translate as 修行. Okay. But some old time actually there is always translated as 禅师. Okay. That's like in the 2nd century in China. But later on, somehow the Chinese become kind of uniformize the translation into all the words used in a practice. But in English, sometimes we also translate practice. We also say develop. Sometimes depends on the context. Sometimes we calculate. So nowadays, in a general term, we call that as meditation also. So mean the understanding through meditation. But actually, literally, you could say the understanding through you bring something into the existence, or but maybe just put in a translation mean you just the understanding through practice. Okay. In this kind of, or maybe nowadays I like to say I just say for the sake of easiness, I would say, please understand this originally mean you bring it into existence. Okay. But now, for the sake of language-wise, I'm not going to use this term. It's very hard for me to construct an English sentence. So the best I would just say meditate. Okay. So I don't want people to think meditate as, like like a Descartes, he did write a book about meditations or meditation as actually old English way of mean, kind of like contemplation. So, but just understand the meditation mean actually you are really recognize something, and then you want to, by recognizing something, you want to bring that thing into become a fact, kind of like this. You know, that's what the original means. So now, what we translate as a practice, a cultivate or develop. Okay. And in this kind of meditation, nowadays even people want to differentiate the meditation in the modern time. Only recently, just a few years ago, actually, in America. So we also translate the word meditation, want to differentiate the meditation from Hinduism to Buddhism. Nowadays, then we say meditation can mean meditation by the Hindu or Hinduism, through the Hindu method. But if you use the word mindfulness, it's very clear to say that mindfulness is a term is for Buddhism. So now it's become a fashion now, the term, that if you really want to differentiate yourself, you're doing meditation in the Buddhist way, you must write the word mindfulness. But of course, why this term comes is because nowadays we have some other technique. I forgot the whole term, like mindfulness for tourism, like a stress reduction mindfulness, and it actually is a very good business nowadays. And I hope that I will do the business too anyway. So, but unfortunately, our rule is small now. I'm just joking actually. So, and so that's the reason. Because of that reason, certainly there was directly developed from the Buddhist meditation technique. So that's I call it mindfulness. I also not going to address that. I don't want to, because of that reason, I want to change the term meditation to the mindfulness. Okay. Now, in the Buddhist meditation, we divide it into two big systems. In the earlier time in Buddhism, actually, there's an argument about, is it true that the Buddha, during the Buddha's time, we really have to differentiate these two big systems? Still, we don't have the final answer. Okay. I mean, final answer means everybody, up to everybody in opinions. I could say there's no final answer. But it's for sure, after the Buddha passed away, almost like 100 years or 200 years, because that's even from the Buddhist text is very clear, then the Buddhism definitely started to differentiate. There are two big meditation systems. One system is called the Samatha system, and one system is called the Vipassana system. I just want to write the term first. Okay. If this Sanskrit, you put it this way, is a Pali, you just write that. Samatha. And then the verses, or you could say Vipassana. If it's Sanskrit, Vipassana. Everything is Pali, Vipassana. So then the Buddhist meditation divided into two big systems. What is called shamatha, you could just simply translate in English, usually say concentration. But I think the term it means the method in terms of method of concentration, you could say that way. And Vipassana, by just looking at the word, it means, you know, the word actually Vipassana is always from the root mean see something. Vi is also, you understand as I mean see something around or see something collectively, or sometimes you can understand the Vi as a kind when anyway facing to see something, you know, right in front of you, something like that. So this two, what is the difference between the two? Generally, one technique is to help you to develop a kind of very focused mind. And this focused mind, and this kind of focused mind, it's always give you a really, or maybe, sorry, I have a thing in English term now. It's kind of like what you can develop this focused mind, and you can even purely mentally that you like kind of uplift your spirit. I usually say the term uplift your spirituality. Now let me just say a few words first also. Now concentration method serves many purposes. Now, whatever I'm saying here, it's actually even from the Buddha's time, for sure. The Buddha sometimes when he knew the person having a problem of like anger issue, Well, here when I say anger issue, I don't mean the person are really like horror, like really have that
Rage.
You know, like not like rage all the time. No, I don't mean that. Just like relatively, a person much easier to get anger than the other person. So during Buddha's time, certainly is very clear. The Buddha also, when he knows someone when they have an anger issue, and the Buddha will start to teach them as an antidote, to teach them what they are going to learn today. The force of life-abiding meditation. In other words, mean you have to learn the love meditation, the compassion meditation. Okay. And what is it? And then the
joy.
Sometimes, I just simply translate joy, then there's equanimity. Or you could just learn the color. You could learn the meditation on the red color, white color, and then I usually say the greenish blue color, and yellow color. Okay. But of course you can meditate other things, but certainly if you meditate these few methods, immediately your anger just subsides. It immediately subsides your anger. But all these let's say, just let me say some other thing. Let's say if a person has the lust problem, always think about sex all the time. It's very hard for them to really, keep that down all the time. And then you can meditate on actually, that's the reason why we don't teach this here, because you're the lay people, sex is part of your life that makes you choose why you want to be a lay person as well. But but traditionally as a monk, you definitely have to learn this. Otherwise, it's one of the big things that we need to deal with. But anyway, okay, I don't want to talk about that now. I don't want. And then you have to meditate on what we call the nine channel. Channel. How do you say that? Channel. CHAR. I think. Nowadays it's horrible. We use computer too much. CHARNEL. Am I right? Channel. Nine channel. We could say visualization. I don't know if it's C or S. You know what I mean, okay? I know that you are much more forgiveful now today because we are using computer too much. And then also meditate on the body. And also meditate on, just let me think, what is that called? What we call the impureness. Impure. So if a person, what it is mean by the nine channel? Actually, you need to. In old days in India, that when the people die, some people, not all. So they usually cast the body. They don't bury the body. Either they have to burn the body. But sometimes, even nowadays, if you go to India, beside the river, like a Ganga river, you do see the people, depending on whether they're rich or not. If they're very rich, they use a sandalwood because it's very expensive. If they're not very rich, and they get very simple wood like that. But unfortunately, because of weather reason, because of wood or whatever reason, sometimes you still can see the people when they die and the body was burned, they're not fully burned. Some part is remain. In America, from American concept is really horrible. But anyway, that's how the society is there. And in old days, even worse than that is that some of the corpse actually they just throw it in one. There's what called the channel place. So, and the monk actually are supposed to go there and look at this kind of corpse, how they decay. And that kind of process of decaying, we divide it into 9 steps for visualization. So imagine that if you see somebody as so beautiful, and then your mind was projecting that person is going to decay, die by dying, so all your lust is just gone. And also the meditate of the body is another part. Is mean actually body here refer to you must be able to observe the body. The body basically you can decide your body as 4 elements in 4 parts. Okay, I mean this is I'm not going to explain because it's a little talk. For example, in our body we have organs, and then you have intestine, you have lung, you have snot, you have blood, you have what you call in English called dungeon. You say what dungeon? In a British term, what you call? Something that come up from here. Huh? Yeah, feces. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because I still remember the baptism, so I'm not going to use that one. The feces. Yeah, that's right. Like those things, you have we count it as almost. Some people count it as 38 parts, or something we count it as the 40 parts. Anyway, let's say the 38 parts. So in these 38 parts, some are belong to liquid kind, and some belong to solid thing, right? So and then this is how you start to. Let's say that any time it belongs to liquid kind, you need to, when you see a person, when you meditate, when you have a last mind, you start to visualize a person, and then you're not seeing a person as a flesh skin, but you have to visualize the person actually in his body. In the outside looks like that, but the inside is completely different. Usually we have a simile say that just like a vase. I don't know how you pronounce a vase or vase. So that's just like a vase or vase that outside look beautiful, carving, painting, but inside hide a lot like snake and horrible thing. That's our physical body. So and then that's divided into 4 parts. And some belong to the earth element, or you could say the solid thing. Some belong to liquid element. Some belong to like a temperature, and then some belong to the water element, like the blood, the fluid, and so forth. This is how then your mind is, because of that kind of visualization, the lust will just subside. The other impureness is almost the same thing. Basically, you started to observe, pick up a certain thing. For example, any person, let's say you might have the last mind, but then you started to actually not looking at what the appearance, but you start to think, okay, just see that person inside, or the nose, what you have, all these kind of thing, right? And something like that. So this is what we call impureness. So that your lust will subside. So that's one. And another one is not only just anger, not only just lust, but say we have distraction. Usually we use a term called, I don't want to say the term now. So like when easily we get distracted, or get distraction, what we call, or you think too much, or agitation, sorry. When you have a lot of agitation. So what kind of method you have to meditate on? So then, when the person always mind cannot stop thinking, or wondering too much, or run too fast, so then the Buddha suggests to do what we done also yesterday actually, the mindfulness of breath. Mindfulness of breath. I cannot remember if there's some other method. Then there are some methods applied to almost all. For example, one is very famous nowadays. Everybody sit there and say, calm, calm, calm. Okay. That is, and then I try to apply to this. It's called, what is English term? I have to think about. Anyway, it's a kind of method that you just, or you can visualize space. You can visualize like the calm. No, how do I say? I cannot remember the English term. It's okay. It's all right. I will just write calmness first. And you have, beside this method, so I want to say actually during the Buddha's time, there are so many different kind of methods in traditional and general belief. All these methods are, in general, I would say, belong to the concentration method. Okay, what you expect to concentration method is not only just Concentrated are not just helping you to overcome those problems, but they are also actually, that is not only the purpose, but the concentration method also help you to develop. This is just few example, okay? They help you to develop your concentration, of course. And in Buddhism, the concentration are very clear. It's not like, okay, I can sit there 1 hour, 2 hours, very nice. And that is because since the meditation is one of the big subjects in Buddhism, and it's believed that without meditation, no one can get enlightenment. It's almost like that, okay? Even people can argue with that nowadays. But I just say that that's how, from the long past, it's always believed that way. So, the concentration, let's say if you do meditation now, that's what we are doing yesterday. Today we're going to do compassion. Or if you like, we can talk about the meditation on the red color. Okay. Let's say, I'll just take this as an example. Because it doesn't mean that when you have the last, you can meditate on this. You can, but it maybe doesn't serve the direct way to solve the problem right now. But when your concentration are so good, all these problems supposed to be solved by itself. Okay. What does it mean by good? Now, let's say if I do red color meditation, it's much easier to form. The red color meditation is actually I find it's a very easy meditation technique. Depends on people. What you have to do is you have to find a disc. You can use a cardboard, make a red color. And then you put the red color right in front of you, that whenever you open your eye, you could look at it, But of course, if that's how traditional way to describe, but you can also make it like hanging on the wall, so that because your head is straight there, you could just, when you just open the eye a little bit, you can staring at the red color all the time. Now, when looking at the red color all the time, of course, I'm not looking at this. Am I painting the red color nice or so forth? But no, you have really just know red. So your perception you have to train your mind only have one color perception. That's the red color perception. And then you start to close your eyes. At first, for example, like that, you should think red. Usually, when you close your eye, somehow at beginning, usually when you close your eye, you look in the front. You just still, anyway, you maybe might distract, but then later on when your focus has become so good, slowly you start to feel like there's a red color come out, okay? And they believe that that red color comes up, it can slowly, depends on everybody, not everybody is the same. In the middle, suddenly, some people see that in the middle, there's a red dot really become there. Whenever you close eye, you just think about red, the red dot was there. And the red dot will become expand. And this is the power of mind. But even though it's your mind, but you look like you can see it, right? That then the red expand, and it become whole red color. So this is what we call you have done the meditation. You are quite reached to a state. I mean, if you're able to, whenever you meditate, either become a dot there, sometimes become just a dot there. The white color around, the red color just right there, very, how do you say, a firm, kind of really firm red color. But either expand or not expand. So then you are reached to, we have a term called, then you will have this kind of what we call this sign in English, usually translate as sign, but in the either Pali or Sanskrit is nimitta. They usually use the same one. And this sign divided into two kind of ways. One kind of sign, we call that as the, anyone can tell me the English term, I cannot remember. I know the Pali term, ukka, just let me write first. Ukka, nimitta. Pali ukka. Okay, I think this is for grasping, I guess. Grasping side. And then this is counterfeit sign, sorry. Counterfeit, am I right? I guess so. Sign. So let's say you just see the red dot color. Sometimes, depending, everyone is different. Just a red dot there, but disappear, red dot there. We call that is called a grasping sign. And if that sign becomes really fully red, this is called the counterfeit sign. The same as when you do loving kindness meditation. Please understand later when you practice, or even when you do compassion meditation, you might have that some experience, but it's different. Let's say if you do loving kindness or compassion meditation, you are, because in the technique you have to visualize the person. In other words, you have to put that person's face right here, and then you need to, as a little multitask. The other task, not just you want to keep that person's faces there, somehow you know there's a person's face here, you also have to kind of like generate this compassion mind towards that image you're visualizing. We'll teach that in detail later. But say that if you just meditate on that kind of technique, some people, I don't mean all, okay, they in the cultivate, in this grasping side, what they will appear, the human face look, the person they visualize. So you might not believe it, it's okay. It's not nothing to do with belief because you need to practice and see. So when this, let's say the face, that person's faces appear, and the face appear, you'll find really clear, more than your naked eye to see a person. But when this face stays for a certain time, even though you still generate compassion to a person or the loving kindness, and the face would fade away. Actually, I don't like to use the term fade. I would say the face, that the side, what we call the grasping side of the face, will be replaced by something. It will be replaced by a disc, I would say. Okay. And this disc, okay, and the disc will become what? The disc is become a transparent. Okay. I think I'm talking too much already. It looks like people are going to sleep. I will stop quite right away. And that what we call the counterfeit sign. All right. The next question is why we need this thing. What it does mean. You know, why the Buddhism have to talk about it. If you were serious this subject, of course you really need to talk the detail. Now, why do we have to talk about this? We want to talk about this because this sign, when it becomes transparent, it's almost like just like our naked eye, suddenly you put your glass on. Especially if the first time you put the glass on, you feel a little strange, right? Like something right there, but I can see it, but you get edge, you could somehow know. Or like the people put the contact lens like that, you know. Like, it looks like something there, but you know, but anyway, don't be surprised. Maybe one day you reach that, you know what I'm talking. And then when this thing is being really, every time when you just meditate, you don't have to sit for a long time. If you're really good, right there, or even when you're talking, you can still do that also. When your mind is there, it will just appear. Just almost like when you're talking, you put a contact lens and put it like that. So when it's done, in Buddhism actually this is what we call, here is not stable, but the stable one, when you can meditate almost every time you can do that, then you will stabilize your focus, or what we call your stabilize concentration. And again, unfortunately, since I will treat you like a student in the classroom, so then you have another term. So that's the term we call that, and then you have this so you have this upachara samadhi, or sometimes we translate that. Then you reach access concentration. All right. Okay. This is what Buddhism believes. Once you reach that stage in this access concentration, through this one meditation as a base, or in other words, you could say the transparent this as a base, then you could start to develop. If you want to, it doesn't mean you don't have to. You have to. Then you can develop what we call the first jhana in Sanskrit. Yeah, that's a Sanskrit or jhana. And then the second and the third and the fourth. So, what does this mean by the first jhana? You have the disc. You will meditate on the loving kindness. Supposing the face will appear, and then the face is gone. But now I need to say one more thing. But some other people don't have the face appear. Everyone is different. But even though the face doesn't appear, but up to a certain stage, this transparent disk will appear, for sure. Okay? You get it now? It means somebody, even when you do the loving kindness meditation or compassion meditation, somebody, whatever they visualize, the face appear, some they don't. They will almost like don't appear. But this is when their meditation, usually we use a term when you're able to put away 5 hindrances, 5 kind of problem. Your agitation mind, your last mind, your what I call, when I say last mean you love the comfort, and then also your drowsiness and sleepiness mind, as well as your anger mind, or displeasure mind, and as well as your doubt when this fighting is gone. This is supposed to be appear. But I need to say that different traditions use a different term for this kind of stage. Okay? When that comes, when it becomes stabilized, you could, based on that, and also based on different techniques, like in yoga system, they use what we call the 9 stages of mind. Okay? They use 9 stages of mind in order to enter the first jhana, second jhana, and third jhana. But that's called yoga system. When I say yoga mind in Buddhism, we divide into the school called like a yoga system. But like in a certain school system, I don't want to say which school. There are so many different systems. They have a different way actually. I always tell people they have a different way. The same thing, but they have a different how you learn to enter the jhana. Okay. All right. You see, what is this jhana for? The jhana is as a concentration. Every time, if your mind could just enter that kind of stage, you always have the same feeling there. What is the best example I can give? Do you have anything in your life that whenever you go, you have the same feeling almost like the same feeling? Okay, let's say that if you see a movie, if that movie is a comedy, right? Supposedly, unless really rare case, you see that the comedy you really like. Every time when you see comedy, maybe something you laugh a lot, sometimes you laugh a little bit, sometimes you laugh just a little bit, but at least you are still happy, right? Something like that. So, but this is different is that you could actually control your mind. That every time you just enter, you will have that kind of stage. What kind of stage? You feel like you're flying. Like that. Okay. This is it's purely mental. And when you enter, when you're able to learn from here to the second jhana, every time you will feel joy. And I will just simply say that. And then if you add into the third jhana, you will simply feel like sweet, something like very, how to say, it's a different kind of joy, but it's just like very sweet, very nice. And then when you enter the fourth jhana, it's almost like nothing is there, but it just feel like almost like you in a empty space or in a void, like on the space, that everything becomes so quiet, like everything's like gone down. But normally, I think in what we believe that normal people, if you don't have the teaching, it's believed that if you practice that and you come to the table, you're afraid of that because you never have that experience in your life in general. Okay, that's the reason why you need people encourage you. But don't worry, the first one, the second one, the third one, everybody learn it. Or then the fourth one.
Didn't feel like it's so empty.
Yeah, it's like that, like suddenly everything gone, Where's it, it's just like so plain, like all white, just plain. Okay. This is what we call a concentration. Now, before I'm going to say what is insight meditation, I'm happy that our time is not fully. Before we say that, then you may be asking, actually there are further, I'm not going to introduce further now. Usually there are 4 of these and another 4, okay? So all 8 together. So I'm just talk about the first 4. Now, why you want this? Now we know one reason. You learn concentration because you could deal with this problem. And of course, you can have a really good focus. And when your focus is so good, that you will be able to have. Anyway, when you come to that stage, you definitely know you're very different. Your focus is really different. Okay. And then so what? And what? Now, since Buddhism is also you can regard as a kind of like a religion. Why? This is maybe you could say it doesn't sound like you could say this is like a more existentialism or philosophy or whatever. But why? Because Buddhism at least they believe in like a reincarnation. When I say believe here, at least we have to think about the next life also as a religion. What it is for? But this is important. Buddhism believe that. If you practice this, especially if you come to the stage that every time when you meditate, especially, I don't mean you need to, that whenever you do loving kind of meditation, even your mind was still working on that, but you come to this stage, what we call the upachara samadhi, access concentration, that this is there. In other words, mean you have a different quality in your mind already. And this quality of mind is believed that when a person is about to pass away, you could use this quality to decide where you want to go. And this is how the Buddhist mysticism is about. It's believed that when some people die, people about to die, they have few of the things might happen to them. One, for example, they start to see their past relative, right? Oh, at least my grandfather's happened that, and my grandmother, not my grandmother, my grandfather, and I knew some of my relatives. I don't know whether that happened here, but even though I read some book, it seems like something did happen the same thing, but I'm just talking about what my direct experience, not my direct experience, my relative, my grandfather. Before he passed away, actually he started to say, I saw his uncle and his relative, like talk to him, right, like that. And also some of them, even they also say that he started to remember a lot of what he have done when he was younger, which they don't really remember at all like that. Well, in Buddhist belief that usually when a person is about to pass away, on the verge of dying, some people, they have an image for them, almost like there's a movie right in front of them. But of course that is very clear to them, is they are doing this and that and that. But if people have a faith, whatever faith they have, they can change that kind of memory. That's what they have, the memory, by just bringing up their faith. Either they become Christian or whatever religion or Buddhist, they will just keep on thinking about their religion or keep on thinking what they like. They were doing something good. Then that's how their mind will not wandering and being brilliant to see what they done in the past. Especially if somebody did in the past is not necessarily a good thing, then that will affect their mind. And that influence will make them to be born. Buddhists believe that not good place because when their mind is not very happy. Now, those are the natural of what we call when a person on the verge of dying. And that's also one reason why Buddhism is become a much more like acceptable religion to others. Because the real understanding of Buddhism is not because you only have to believe Buddha, you'll be safe. Actually, anything that you believe, that because you can change your mind, right? On the moment, you don't let your mind think something else. So that definitely makes you. Let's say I believe, I don't know whatever. Let's say I don't really. Let's say I believe in a Buddha, and I was just thinking about the Buddha. Maybe my mind started to think something else. And my friend around me remind me, just now you're about to die now. Don't think anything else. You do a good thing. You're always a good person. So you just think about the Buddha. Well, just my mind. Yeah, because I know I have no help. I know I cannot do anything more about my physical body. I'm going to die. So that's the only last thing I need to grab is the Buddha. So that's a kind of focus, right? And that focus made me, because I remember how I devote myself to the Buddha and blah blah blah, I feel joy, happy. Okay. Now, if you have a meditation experience, you might be able to see the Buddha image. Okay. You might not necessarily have a meditation experience, but you can be, because at the last moment, you're so focused, right? Because you give up everything, you're not thinking anything else. Not like now, if you do meditation, you start to think, what, I'm going to have lunch, tonight, am I going to have a party? And should I come in tomorrow? Because that time you don't give up, you just really have to focus, right? It's very different. So, it's almost like that's only the time, what you call life or the death, okay? So then, that time, you just, whatever your mind was visualizing, image will appear. Oh, okay. Now, this access concentration actually are more than that. If you have this, especially when you practice nowadays, in Buddhist understanding, it's not only helping you, whatever faith you have, whatever you visualize, it can easily appear. That keep your mind really focused there. But it also actually serves a very wonderful purpose. I know there's a little thing, I cannot tell detail all the thing now, but like you can actually decide, where can I born? Should I born to the heavens now? And then, it's according to the Buddhist description, say, then the heaven appear to you. In other words, it's almost like when a person on the verge of dying, this kind of access concentration as a disc is served as a tunnel for it. In normal days, it's almost just served like just a glass, but on the verge of dying, actually, this glass becomes a tunnel, and the tunnel will decide where you want to born. If you say, okay, I don't want here, I want to go there, and it will change on the places. So because why? Firstly, because your mind is good enough. Okay. You have to be good enough to on here. So, all right. This is why during the Buddha's time, this concentration is so important, because lots of lay people, they are not necessarily want to get enlightenment, especially in those days. And to get enlightenment, they always presume it's only for the monk who are really give up everything and only purposely for that. Even though, of course, nowadays people don't think that way, but I'm just saying in that day, especially in 2,600 years ago. But what is different between people who are devoted to only enlightenment or just meditation for enlightenment, or people just have a good life, have the family life? It's because they just want a good life and want to have a good family, have a good society, and so forth. But what they need is that when they die, of course, they want to be born in a good place, right? And this concentration actually serves enough purpose for them already, right? No, don't do it. And also one reason why I want to introduce this, because at least I become a monk almost 30 years now. So my understanding actually, sometimes the Buddhism depict a picture in another way, telling you that when you learn Buddhism, the only purpose for you is to get enlightenment. But it's true that studying is the most important thing in Buddhism. I have nothing to do. I'm not saying that's completely wrong. But I just want to tell you, actually, during the Buddha's time, lots of the lay people, they were not really, they admire enlightenment. They admire this kind of thing, but they know they cannot do it. They actually, most of the people just want a good life. And the next good life, you know what I'm saying, right? Are you? You got to think of really clearly what do you want, right? So, okay. If that is the thing, actually, the Buddha, very convenience, I was saying, convenience has subscribed to one of the ways to do that is by, you must try to get this at least. Okay. This is for concentration. And traditionally, the foundation of concentration in Buddhism is when you have this access concentration. You know, it's almost like when you go, I always say, almost like when you go to play a football or when you play a ping pong, like I like to play ping pong, so I can say ping pong much easier. So you know how to pull when the ping pong ball there. You cannot say, I've been playing the ping pong, ding, 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 like that, and then only once in a time you just do it nice. Oh no, I know how to play. No, you must be at least have the accuracy almost like, I wouldn't say 100%, but at least 80%. You could pull it back, right? That means you know how to play that, right? You cannot just say because accidentally I did it. Oh no, I know how to play ping pong. No, you must be able to like. You need a trend and a trend and then a trend and then a trend. You know, that's why I say actually for Buddhism, in a very strict sense, if you're really serious about meditation, so you must be training and training and training. You must at least up to that point. And don't ask me, is it difficult? It's not difficult. Just like anything, like any sport, everybody can do it. Especially if you have a good coach. Okay, I don't mean the only coach, but you can find many different coaches. But you have a good coach, you know, and then of course if you don't have a good coach, maybe you can still get it too. I don't mean no, but if you have a good coach, of course you know that I'm sure if you play sport, you know, especially if you've been trained in the national coach, you definitely know it's very different already. Then you could build up the skills so good, so easy. But only thing you need to do is just have that understanding why you want to do that, have the interest in it. And as Buddhism understand, the concentration is not just helping you on this because you have a better life. I'm going to talk this thing tomorrow, but here just give you one rough idea that you have this. So it's good for you now, but it's also, I always have a joke like, you know, in Buddhism, everybody say, oh, I want to go to heaven, oh, I want to come back here, I want to meet my wife again. I don't know whether you want or not. I want to meet my husband again. But you know, so basically this is just like, you know, it's something you are quite sure right now. You can do it right now or no. Okay, you know what I'm saying? It's not waiting until, I would just, when I'm dying, I call and see whether it's appear. No, you could actually through this understanding and practice, and when this is there, especially if you have a long-term practice, you could know many things by that. Okay. I'm not here to talk something mystical, actually. We don't regard this as a mystical, even though maybe some people think that way. But I more regard actually is more like a practical, I have to say. It's something that if you have a proper way and effort, that everyone will have that. Okay, now this is what the concentration. I have only just 5 minutes to say what is not a concentration, called another meditation called the Vipassana. Why I want to leave that little time because I don't want to explain it because it's more complicated actually. Now this is very simple. So very simple. Now let's say when you do the Vipassana, mean the insight meditation, some people translate, but in Tibetan tradition, usually like to translate it as like analytical meditation. I don't want to differentiate. I somehow know why they have a different translation, but I'm not here to discuss that, but I will let you to explore yourself later. But generally, in the insight meditation, or what you call the Vipassana, you have to start to learn actually directly observe your body or your mental and body. You have to learn, observe your body, or what we call the body and what we call the man and body. Or sometimes we say body and mind, right? In philosophy, it's also very always interesting to talk about body and mind. So there are so many techniques actually also, but generally you have to understand what it is form in your physical body is mean to you, and what it is feelings, what it is perception, what it is what we call the mental formation. If we don't understand what that means, you could say what is your thought process, okay? And what it is consciousness. So this is the first step you have to understand. So it's very different from what we talk about concentration now. But you can use the concentration so well and then shift that kind of focus, very well focused, back to the physical here. We are not going to do whatever. But depends on what technique. Let's say, generally, if I took this physical as one, there are so many different techniques. Some people doing scan the whole body, some doing just observing the whole body. What there. Let's say I feel heaviness, I feel lightness. That means it's as a characteristic of the earth element. I feel there's a moving, this. This is what we call the characteristic of the wind element and so forth. Okay. So then you know actually the form, the physical body are composed of the 4 elements. I don't want to write that on 4 elements actually. And then you start to see the feelings. Okay. So you have many feelings. I like it, I don't like it. This feeling, for example, feelings mean sensation. You have different sensation. You maybe feel itching and so forth, but later on you start to feel actually the sensation only this 3 kinds of sensation. So that is like pleasure sensation, unpleasure sensation, and neutral sensation. Because whatever ultimately, whatever you observe, is always sensation is there. Even if I observe my body is becoming heavy, you also actually not just, you don't have to always observing heaviness, but you can always direct your mind, observe your physical body, just only unpleasant sensation. Unpleasant sensation is there, right? So it's right at the same moment. You could direct your mind, just observe the forms, or you can direct your mind, just observe the sensation. And if you're really good, even you're sometimes able to discern the concept. Actually, there's all these are belong to the mind. Concept, you know, the concept means that's the sensation, or that's heavy. But you know it's not. Your mind is not directly understand as a heaviness, but you understand. I have a perception of heavy. You get it now? You know, it's what we call perception. The same thing, you start to see your mind from just last moment to this moment. The mind trigger you to change everything. Okay. So what trigger you? Usually is the intention trigger you. Let's say this is more subtle. That I can aware it's my intention want me to look at this or want me to look at that. Okay. Anyway, I know this is a little complicated. And my awareness itself is a consciousness. I think it's too much of talking. Now, this is just a simple process. But from this simple process as a person, what we call a person, when you become good on the observing, you will find, you will start to question yourself. Who is I? Which one is I, right? And this is how you start to somehow, especially when you meditate a long time, and especially you have a guide and ask you to look at that path, don't look at this, so you don't have to, kind of like you have a shortcut. Then you start to find, do I have I? Which is I? What does it mean by the one that I identify as myself? And so forth, that's how you, I just give a very shortcut saying, so forth, then you understand there's no, what I think is the one that called I, okay? You maybe have a continuous of you, but you don't have any unique, it's really precisely mean by you. This is how the wisdom comes along. What the Buddhism talk about mean. There is selfless, you know, and so forth. Anyway, let me just stop. This actually is not enough, okay? When you finish this accordingly, you also have to understand your ears, when you hear outside, how you respond. How the ears, whatever you hear, I'm talking here this not as a scientist experience, but as a meditation. Then you can see that when you have the sound go inside your ear, start to move, and how your mind relate to this moving the sound, and how you decipher the sound, as you know. Let's say that people giving them voice, right? How that react, and this is how you can see what we call the ear when you have the object as a sound, how that correspondence, so that your ear consciousness arises. And how your ear consciousness arises, that your mind, how you read this, what you think is a sound. You know, like, for example, like, if I hear somebody outside have a sound like, ding, you know, you could think, oh, somebody fall down. Or some people think, no, there's a gunshot, for example, like that. It's all. And why you interpret as a gunshot? Why the person interpret that as a something? Well, but you become really aware of all this. Okay, and so forth and so forth and so forth. I believe that by this analytical meditation at the end, you could get enlightenment. Okay, I don't want to say there's a lot of thing here. I don't want to speak that down because this I'm sure not even 1 hour, 2 hours. But then you get enlightenment. This is what we call the vipassana, I mean the insight meditation. Let me just say the last word. Say that if I practice a mindfulness of breath, I could just, this is one method, and the other method is, I could simply bring the breath meditation to this form. Because breath is a production of a form. I just simply know the breath. If I do concentration, I just simply know I in-breath and out-breath and so forth, what you have learned yesterday a little bit, that you focus. But if you do the analytical meditation or the insight meditation, you are not just doing that. You have to know your breath, heavy, warm, cold, light. Your breath can have a warm. Usually you in-breath like that, and warm, heavy, light, and all you have to know, that's what we say the elements, the characteristic elements, like you have heaviness, lightness, rough, or what we call smooth. This is how you discern. When you start to discern your breath in this way, with the 4 elements of understanding, and then go inside the body, come into the body, come out, and then start somehow the breath will spread all over the body. You feel it, right? But you don't feel the breath only, because if you do insight meditation, you feel the breath might become heavy. Oh, here's light, or this here is heavy, or this is temperature, this is warm, this is hot, like that. And this is how the breath will take you into discern the form. And then when the form becomes really, when you are really good at that, I'm just saying this is another technique of the insight meditation. Then you start to feel, I feel nice, I don't feel nice, I feel nice, but even nice, there's some nice here, doesn't nice here, like that. This is how you start to have 1 part, 2nd part, 3rd part, 4th part, and then you start to, that's how you start to understand your 5 aggregates as a person. And then now again, from there, so, okay, I think the time's up. I don't want to stay there. Okay, I guess at least you have understood a little bit why is a concentration, and there are so many methods of that. And insight meditation, maybe it sounds like there's a restriction of all. You have to begin with the 5 aggregates, mean as a person divided into 5 parts to observe. However, but actually, if you look at in some way, the insight meditation, if you look at the Buddhist text especially, take the largest part to discuss because it's a big subject. Like the concentration actually is also a big subject, but compared to the insight meditation, I don't think it's a big subject, okay, to me. Because the insight meditation are so profound and so complicated. When I say complicated, it doesn't mean you have to fulfill everything, but it's just because you could come from different angle to reach what we call the final state of like enlightenment state. And also they serve as the most profound and very unique in Buddhism, and that's how the Buddhism believes. And the unique in Buddhism, so that's why it becomes really the largest part in the Buddhist text discussed. For example, how you reach a no-self, how you understand the suffering, when that suffering means unsatisfactory, and how you reach that, to see the cause of unsatisfactory and so forth, like that. So it becomes a large part. But please understand, it does not mean that when you practice concentration, it's always not helping you. On the contrary, actually in the Buddha's time, I'm talking in the Buddha's time, now they may be changed, right? In the Buddha's time, actually concentration is always served as the very important fundamental. Because why? Last thing I'd like to say is because whenever you practice concentration, it always gives you one thing for sure. Joy. Happy. But when you practice the insight meditation, of course you get that too when you come to a good stage. But not necessarily depending on what practice you start to begin. Maybe you only feel like the world is more sorrow or suffering, I would say. But the concentration always gives you the joy, even though when you really practice insight meditation, you have to be aware of that joy. But please do not misunderstand. I'm here also to give this speech also to reflect whatever the general people believe. They always think that this is dangerous to practice this because it gives you always joy. That you always indulge yourself in happiness and you forget to see other part of the life like that. But actually, even it's true, but if you have this joy, when your mind is stable, only, basically you could say that this serves as a basic. When you have a stable mind with the joy, you could only, when you do inside meditation, you have to look at, don't let your mind just really cling on this joy so much. But however, because you have a so good concentration, and all this meditation become very easy for you. Let alone to say, unless you never finish this meditation, okay, and then you can decide where you were born. Anyway, all right, I will finish my talk. Have a 15 minutes break, and then we'll be back here to do meditation. Thank you for your attention. Anyway.